Today, the Washington Post has a blockbuster story, the results of several years of reporting and legal pursuit of government documents for the last 18 years. According to the government reports obtained by the Post, senior U.S. officials have been misleading the American public about the war in Afghanistan. John Yang has the story.
Judy, it was called Lessons Learned, a project started by a special inspector general tasked with probing U.S. operations in Afghanistan. And those lessons tell a very different private story, one of misguided and fatal dysfunction, that violently contradicts with the narrative pushed by 3 successive presidents and their administrations.
There has been a lot of progress since 2001. After all, girls are back in school.
In pursuit of our core goal, we are seeing significant progress.
We'll see what happens, but we've made tremendous progress.
The Washington Post waged a 3-year battle with the government to obtain these lessons learned. Craig Whitlock is the lead reporter on the story, and he joins us now from the Post newsroom. Craig, you read through some thousands of pages of these interviews. What was the big takeaway that you came away with?
Just how blunt the people in charge of the war were about the failings of the strategy, about why we were there, about who the enemy was. One of the first quotes that leapt out at me was from Army Lieutenant General Doug Lute. He was the Afghan war czar in the White House for both Bush and Obama. And he said, we didn't have the foggiest notion of what we were undertaking in Afghanistan. We didn't know what we were doing. He said 2,400 lives lost where they lost in vain. When you see things like that from generals in charge of the war, they grab your attention.
And you talked to a lot of these people who were interviewed. Did you get any sense from them why they weren't, they were saying these things in private to these, the interviewers, but why they weren't saying these things in public?
You know, that's a really good question, and a lot of them haven't elaborated. I think what happened is these people were being interviewed by another government agency, and many of them had assurances that they wouldn't be quoted by name or that their comments wouldn't make it out without their approval. And the Washington Post took the position that these are public records. These are people, senior government officials, criticizing the war from top to bottom, that the public has a right to know that. So we've been fighting that for a long time, and we finally managed to pry a good number of them loose. But I think most of these people, they never thought they'd be quoted in public.
And you also say that these reports, as you say in the story, written in dense bureaucratic prose and focused on an alphabet soup of government initiatives, left out the harshest and most frank criticisms from the interviews. Did you get a sense of why that was?
Well, I asked the Inspector General, whose office was behind this project, I said, you know, here you have these commanders and ambassadors and White House officials all saying what a disaster the war was. How could you keep that from the public? If your job is to hold the government accountable for the war, how could you sit on this? And I didn't get much of an answer. They said, well, maybe they get around to it in a forthcoming report. But I think, you know, this was so explosive, what people were saying. I think another government agency just found it too hot to handle and decided it would be better to bury it.
But also, given the title of the project, Lessons Learned, you'd think they'd want the harshest and most frank commentary to teach these lessons, but they were not interested in sort of spreading this around the government?
I think part of the issue here is when they started this project in 2014, you have to remember everybody assumed the war was coming to an end. And I think they thought it was a safe time to do a lessons learned project and get people to look back in time to see what happened. Of course, at that point, President Obama said he was going to withdraw all troops by the time he left office. That didn't happen. And then when Trump took office, he's actually escalated the war. There are more troops there. The bombing from the air, the air wars have intensified greatly. So I think the war went on much longer than even this agency or anybody in government thought. So I think it became much more sensitive, and they felt they had to keep it under wraps while the war was still going on.
And the people interviewed not only just talked about the military strategies, but also talked about the other strategies. You pointed out that more than the amount of money that's been spent on Afghanistan, if adjusted for inflation, is more than the United States spent on the Marshall Project after World War II. And what's to show for it, as it were, from this report?
Well, and not much. I mean, what we heard in an interview after interview that these people gave, particularly aid workers in the field, military officers, diplomats, they all said this was more money than they could possibly spend, that they were ordered by Congress and officials back in Washington to during the Obama administration to spend as quickly as they could, as much as they could. And they're really just graded on how much money they spent, not on whether these projects made any sense. And the people who had to do this, they said, not only did it make any sense, but it backfired because it fueled corruption, it alienated the Afghan people against the Afghan government, and it just made everything much, much worse.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to the brothers laboring in this truth worldwide to wake up the elect of the children of Israel. It's your brother Dawada coming to you with another lesson. And yeah, as you've seen in your opening clip, Esau is being revealed. Yahweh Shai is making his own tongue to fall upon himself. Scriptures say there's nothing secret that shall not come abroad. And I had that scripture queued up. So let's jump into the lesson. This is Luke 12:2. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in the closet shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. And those guys, just like he said, those guys were so candid with their statements because they believed that whatever they were saying was not going to be revealed. So they told the blunt truth. But that's just more of Yahweh Shai making their own tongues to fall upon themselves. Matter of fact, let's get that. And it's a beautiful work that Yahweh Shai is doing, because he's showing that your own government lies to you, and that's how they work. It's a Psalm 64:8. So they make their they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And that's what's going on, man. People see how this government operates, and the nations are mad. It said they went to spending so much money that they was just throwing money. It said spend as much money as you can, in such a short period of time. Why are you spending all this money on the endless war? What are you actually doing, right? That's why scriptures say he's laden with thick clay. Matter of fact, let's get that. Because you just throwing money in the air, those FRNs, which are no value, right? This is Habakkuk 2. And I'm going to start at verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. And this is the point right here. Well, next two verses are the point. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. You see that? It was a false pretense for even going into Afghan. They lied about so-called weapons of mass destruction, supposed to be attacking Iran, and when that lie came out, they went and attacked Afghanistan, and the so-called people who flew those planes, which is a hoax, Those people who flew those planes into those buildings were what? Saudi Arabian nationals, man. Just like that guy in Florida, Pensacola, who shot up that military base. So-called Saudi Arabian national, man. All right? So it wasn't even a country that these people are from that you're attacking, but you're using false pretenses to what? go in their covered fields and take them by violence. All right? And we're going to get that next. It says, Habakkuk 2:4, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, right? But gather unto him all nations, and heap up unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Yeah, man, he laden himself with thick clay, man. So much debt. It said they spent more money fighting that endless war than the Marshall Plan. Y'all go check that out. Go Google Marshall Plan. All right? So this guy is laden with thick debt. You know, the Afghan government, because of the corruption, because of all the money they were throwing in there for no reason, you know, that's what's going on with all these other so-called governments that they've set up. You know, they throw so much money into Ecuador. You know, when they had their little uprising when they tried to raise up the gas prices. You know, in Haiti, same thing. You know. They've laden themselves with so much thick clay, and then when they try and put taxation on the people get mad, right? Verse 7, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Yeah, man. And that's what's coming to this place, man. Because you done laden yourself with so much debt, and you done spoiled all these nations with your vain philosophy, your democracy, which is just a front for you to control these people, man. All right? Let's go to the book of 2 Thessalonians. Because that man of sin is what? Being revealed. All right? Through the power and spirit of Yahweh Shai. He's causing him to have his own tongue to fall upon himself. Then he's causing to have his prophets bring out these lessons, filter them through the scriptures, exposing this devil, letting you know who that man of sin really is. All right? This is 2 Thessalonians 2:3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. But once again, that man of sin is being revealed. The Israelites had to fall away from their heritage first, and then that man of sin is going to be revealed. See, Yahweh Shai does all things in order, man. All right? And let's get that covered fields. Right? Because that's what they do. They covered fields and take it by violence. Right? This is Micah 2. I'm going to start at verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Yeah, man. It said the Obama administration, your so-called first black president, right? You know, it says nothing but a Hamite. It said that he spent more money during that period of time than the Marshall Plan, man. Right? And this guy says spend up as much as you can, as fast as you can. Right? Trying to separate the people. Trying to put money into an endless war. Creating those FRNs, man, which has no value. All right, let's read this again. This is Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hands. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Yeah, man. Those people over there being oppressed by who? The American government, man. And they paying off their own people to oppress them. That's where all that money is going, man. All right? Verse 3. Therefore, thus saith the Most High of hosts, or Salakia. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashai, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. Yeah, man. Yahweh Shai is devising a bad time for you Edomites, man. All right? In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, and say, we be utterly spoiled. He hath changed the portion of my people. How hath he removed it from me? Turning away, he hath divided our fields. Yeah, man. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to be a spoil to these other nations. All right? Because what? Because of the violence that you set up. Right? Let's get this. Because you are a violent man. And hey, Yahweh Shai is beautifully putting this thing into work. All right? This is Obadiah 1, starting at 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Most High Shalakia. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith Yahweh Shai concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Most High, an ambassador sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Yeah, man. They're greatly despised, man. And there's no hope for them. The windows are darkening. Their numbers are dwindling. Their economy is going down. Their crops are rotting. They can't plant enough. They got deaths of despair, deaths of opioids, increasing homelessness, the top 1% is cannibalizing the bottom 99% of their own people. And who's doing all this? Where's Yahweh Shai? All right. Verse 3, the pride of thy heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down? Well, guess what? It's Yahweh Shai bringing you down. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh Shai. All right? And Esau is being brought down low, man. All right? I'm going to jump to verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Yeah, man. These nations who you think are your partners while you going America first, you just digging yourself into a pit. All right? That's going to be it for the lesson. Lord willing, it's been edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and most respect to the brothers laboring in this truth worldwide in sincerity to wake up the elect of the children of Israel. Till the next time, I say shalom.